Hey everyone, of course, welcome to the next edition of Forum Bites. In this episode, we're doing it a little bit differently because as some of you already requested, we're doing a little bit of a longer form podcast. And Justin Boelen, who's actually sitting with me here, we're actually level 1 treasurer, actually one of the Perth events. And these podcasts are designed to be able to have a little bit of a longer format so we can have a discussion about Forum, because I meet a lot of people around the planet, and EO and JB is actually one of them, who does Forum and does managing people really well. So JB, do you want to say hello and tell them all who you are and so on?
Yeah, hi everyone. Look, I've been involved with EO coming on 12 years. I've done everything from sit in the corner to the pointy end being the president. I've had a run at the forum chair, membership chair, and been moderator twice. I have a small business which is only being improved year on year through my experiences with EO and my forum. That being said, it's not the perfect equation and never is.
Firstly, he's being modest about small. His business has grown exponentially since I've known him. But you've been in the same forum with me. It was 11 years?
11 years approximately.
Yeah. And you've been moderator twice, just to be clear?
I've been moderator in that forum once, but I then took on another forum that was a amalgamation of forums, and I ran moderator for 12 months.
Gotcha. Now, as I was saying just before at the open, you know, the one thing that's actually impressed me about you is managing people. This is something which I've experienced both as a forum member, chapter member, board member, as well as, of course, naturally your, helper when we went to Coimbatore together. You ended up going, I suppose, in a nutshell. With the chapter, was you were always able to find what a group of people need to do, not want to do. Like, I know most of the people you dealt with didn't want to do necessarily what you wanted to put in place, but because you knew they needed to do it and you pushed it through, you ended up getting it through and succeeding, which Coimbatore was one of them. You know, taking a whole chapter to Coimbatore for the first time. Forum placement. You know, if my memory serves, I don't like using the word auto placement, but you rolled out a process of placement that was both open and fluid to everyone, and you dealt with some challenges of rolling those type of things out. People can argue whether they're right or wrong, but I know you believed in them, but you always succeeded in rolling them out, even against a lot of people pushing back. So if you're talking to a moderator, they're sitting in their forum and they want to roll out a process, whatever that process is. They believe everyone needs to do it, but they're getting some pushback. What would be the one thing or the biggest advice you'd give them in rolling that out successfully? What would you tell them to do just as a moderator of a forum?
That's a tough one, because the one thing that connects my whole experience in EO is that good people want good things. They don't necessarily want to do the things to get to the good things, but they're good people want to do things, and they don't want to fail ever. So, and they don't want to let people down. The people that say that I don't care what other people think or whatever. I'm here for my own experience. Mm-hmm. The people who say that really actually care a lot, in my experience from this, and so. They're the type of guys, if you can show them the vision, and whether it be going, because the pain's going to be worth the gain. And like with Coimbatore, you and I flew there not even knowing much about India, let alone Coimbatore. And we took a risk because we knew what the people wanted, we knew where they wanted to get to as far as our chapter was concerned. And we went on that journey. And when people can see where you're trying to take them, they will lead. There'll be apprehension, and there's always concern in the way you do things, but as long as you're transparent in what you're trying to achieve and people believe in you, because if you're not transparent, people won't believe, because they're already apprehensive regardless of anything. Their comfort zone's always the norm, and to take them out of that, you need to be transparent, saying, this is what we discovered as a group we want to achieve, and I've got a path going forward, but I need you to believe in me, and you're going to have to do things to get us there.
But with that transparency, are you talking about the transparency of the idea or the transparency of the person delivering it?
So if we use the chapter retreat as an example.
Sure. And do you want to give them, so in other words, we're going to Coimbatore in India, never been there before. The chapter had never been on like that far before. We'd gone on overseas retreats before, but not that far before. And we'd never been there before either. So it's something brand new.
Look, and there's so many things that can go wrong.
Very true.
But even going a step, look, being in EO gives you an opportunity to meet not just like-minded people, but some people that are just exceptional. And when you take a role on, whether it be moderator or a board membership or a president, is you want to ensure that they're not only getting their money's worth, that they live and breathe the experience. So with EO, when I came in a role that, for example, involved with their chapter retreat, what we did is we actually gave them a choice. We set a budget, and whether they're going to be local, interstate or international. I said, this is our budget. Here's your choices. We had a local proposal, we had an interstate proposal, and we had a global one. And we allowed the chapter to choose what they wanted. I think from memory, it was over 70% said, let's go to India. And I can guarantee of that 70%, the people that voted for 70%, I reckon 90% have never been there.
Yep, must admit, I forgot about that questionnaire.
So we actually gave them a bit of power to explain to us, because if they all said, look, we just want to go local, then I would have seen what they wanted, and we would have developed around those experiences, to say, okay, this is where we want, and then we'd delve a little bit deeper to go, what things are we trying to learn? When I was in that involvement, we were going in Western Australia, we were going through a decline in off the back of a boom, and people were saying it's very difficult and challenging and so many competitors. So I tried to take them to a place where it's tenfold, same sort of population, but tenfold type of competition.
Yep.
And not just within their own country, but or city, but from the US, from Australia, from everywhere, and go, how do these people amongst, while their capital city is similar to Perth, but they're in, their population's, tenfold.
Certainly not larger than ours.
Yeah. So it was really, we want to learn from those experiences and go, and how do you compete when you've got so much competition? Because you can't always run to the bottom, because eventually that ends up nowhere.
Everyone at the bottom.
Well, you basically go down the drain. You need, and no one begrudges someone making a profit. They just don't like greed.
Yeah.
And then there's a fine balance. And I think we wanted to put our chapter in the shoes of other people going, listen, you're in a big pond. How does this work? How do you balance your life, your business, your personal life, when effectively India is running like a New York City. It's 24/7. They are go. Yes, they have time for family, but they have set rules of how they run life. And I just wanted to get people an experience to follow through with, to see an outcome, to actually reflect back and go, you know what, maybe as an entrepreneur I've been sitting calm. I haven't really pushed the boundaries. I think I have, but I've created these false boundaries. There is no boundaries. The boundaries are what I'm comfortable with. And if you want change, you need to go beyond those boundaries, but you need to be prepared for the risk. And I think with a moderator role, going back to the original question, is if people want change, the first question is, why do you want the change? Yeah, and because some people just want change for saying it, but when you actually open up that door and go, well, this is what you're going to have to go through for that change, people go, maybe it's not so much for me. But when you had, and through the process that I know that you helped me with, they chose, they were invested from day one. And same, whether it be a chapter or a forum, people or a goal buddy, if they're invested, like you and I have done some crazy things over the years.
We have.
And some of them is that you don't want to let the other person down. And I think a moderator that not only doesn't want to let their forum down, but will actually hold them accountable to step through the process that they have nominated they want, I think it's exciting times. And don't be wrong, you're moderator for 11 to 12 months, including the handover month. And you'll have 2 steps forward in 1 month, and you have another month to go backwards. You think, I think I'm back at the start. But it's a bit like snakes and ladders. Your climbs are greater once you get a base. And I think it's a really good opportunity that by people being committed to what they say and mean what they say, I think change happens very quickly and people own it. But as moderator, you must lead, but you must know where you're leading them to.
See, that's actually a really good point, the way you've put that, from the point of view of you may have a plan of what your forum or chapter wants to do, but you actually began with the idea of what they wanted from them before you then keyed up what you wanted to do with them. So in other words, getting, as you said, the questionnaire before, what do you want from forum? What do you want to do from chapter? And getting their feedback. Because the biggest thing I got out of what you just said then was that you automatically had buy-in because they said they wanted that. Whether it be more forum excursions, more presentations, whatever they agree to. So agreeing to what they want first and then tying that into what you want to get them to do is the way of getting commitment and buy-in.
Yeah, and I think it's not about money either, because as we said from the beginning, and I keep referring to the chapter retreat because it's an easy example, but it's not about money, because whether we were going local, interstate, or overseas, it was the same budget.
Yep.
But it's the imagination. People need to use their imagination to create things. Some of the best learnings we've had over our duration have been created by people having imagination. Right? And imagination doesn't mean dollars. It's just you're trying to create an experience for people to let go of their comfort zone. And that can be gradual, it can be great.
And it's something which I suppose the way to allow people to make a greater change is by getting them bought into the process at the beginning rather than the end, which is big. Because I remember yours and my conversation at the beginning before we even came up. To be honest, I don't even know where the idea for Calling Talk came from. I know we were talking about how I knew some people from LBS and
London Business School.
London Business School, which just so you know, that's the LBS program with EO, which I did for 2 years, and I met some lovely people there. And I think it was tied into how you were talking about what your vision was for the chapter, getting ready for a downturn, getting ready for that.
Evolution.
Yeah, and then we tied it into a possible plan, which I said, what about Coimbatore? But then you also said, well, local and interstate, as in Brisbane or wherever we ended up going. And then the best thing about it is then when you had that plan, you went to the chapter to have them choose and confirm you're on the right path, so that then when you got to the outcome, there was commitment already. Now, of course, that is going to be rather interesting for people who are running their forums, but I suppose you could do like a question, because you used to do a questionnaire as a moderator, didn't you?
Yeah, well, so basically before I took over as moderator, I did what we called a 180 review, which probably is, and then we changed it to 360
correct.
Review.
But I've shared that with all the lead experts and everyone, because it is a great questionnaire.
Yeah, but it's really, as moderator, in my view, you become the hub in the wheel. So each member's a spoke, and you know things that the people, what they need and how they feel, and how whether they're struggling or whether they're comfortable or whether they want more. But you are the hub, and that questionnaire enabled me to find out what they want. And it was just a one-on-one, not just so much of this, just asking questions based on a set format. And I went to all of them, and all right, I know what you've missed out on your journey so far. You've told me what you want. I've given them feedback as a group, and I say, this is my vision. Are you on board? And we've run from there.
Can you give, because of course I know the questionnaire backwards, because I've used it often, not only with our forum, but every other group I've been with EO. Could you give the guys and girls a little bit of an example of the type of questions that are on that questionnaire? Do you remember them?
Yeah, well, there's one in particular.
I know there's a tough one.
There's one in particular. And again, I would recommend the moderator review the questions before the structure, I think, works. The questions will be relative to how long a forum's been together. There are some questions, particularly if you've got a bunch of new members or a whole new forum, that if you go in and ask these questions, it could destabilise your system. No.
So to be clear though, the questions are therefore, the depth of the questions are therefore based on the life cycle of the forum, not the life cycle of the forum member. Some might be tenured, might be new. So it's the life cycle of the forum being together. So in other words, if you had 5 tenured and 2 new, you would see it as a newish forum. Yes. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the questions which and again, bearing in mind our forum when I think took over together about 6-7 years, something along those lines. Yep. And one of the members said to me, I asked him, I said, look, would you consider relocating to another forum? And it's really the design of the question was really to understand from the moderator, are they feeling uncomfortable in this forum? Are they getting what they want in the forum? I'm trying to understand. And one of the questions, and the person in particular responded and said, no, I'm here, I'm on our forum, and that's it. And then I said, and my next question was, well, what about if you were asked to leave? And they were startled. They went, what do you mean? Is everyone getting asked this question? And to
good question.
To me, that was a really good sensitive point, because this person, our forum was his home. It was a place, and I mean that metaphorically, of course, but it was a place where the 4 walls never leaked. And he knew that his opportunity to basically just grow was in the best hands in that environment, and that's really what you want. Because if you had people that, to the contrary to that, then you need to wonder why. Because vulnerability is great, but not vulnerability at the expense that they're not prepared to share.
Yes. So in other words, it's also what they answer and how they answer.
Yeah.
So I used to use that question. I still use that question a lot, and I used to be able to watch how long they took to answer it. How they answered it was, what they said.
The other thing which is very difficult when you are the moderator or a goal buddy or a board member or president is that you get privileged information. And sometimes people in certain environments won't disclose what you already know. And the question you have to ask yourself, why is that? And one thing I would give any incoming moderator, the advice or goal buddy, is let it go. It's their journey, it's their story. I said, well, if they want to discuss it and want to explain it, because they'll know you know.
Yes.
So, but it's not your story, so you have to let it go.
Yep. So in other words, finding the right time for them to share it rather than forcing.
Yeah. But also ask yourself, why didn't they share it? And wonder if you can perhaps restructure the way you as a moderator are doing things that can change the environment.
Because that's the one good thing I loved about the questionnaire, because I've met a lot of moderators who are sometimes very tough. You will do this, or you will do this in a particular forum. But the reverse also, there's been a lot of passive moderators. In other words, do you think we should? Do you think we should? I think, as you just said then, it's a perfect middle ground that you need to be. You need to work out within the questions you're asking, what do they need? What do they want from the forum? And also as moderator, what do you need from them to help deliver that? I love some of your questions before about, tell me if I'm wrong, I think there's a question in there about something along the lines of, is there something that's happening in your life, business, personal, whatever it is, that you're not talking about? And that was a particular question that I think when you asked me shocked me, because I'd sit there and think, I said, God, I don't know. Hang on, let me think about it. But it made me think about it, which is, I suppose, a litmus test of, is not necessarily the moderator, but how engaged the forum is. But I think you also had a question there with a reverse where you said that, is there a topic that you believe other forum members are not talking about? Which is the second question, not the first question, which I think is really, poignant that a lot of people don't ask.
Yeah, you want no boundaries, but you got to respect, and everything comes down to respect. If people know they're respected and it's trusted, they'll share. It's just a case of people's speed of sharing is different and the volume is varied. For some people who are new to EA, their level of sharing to the others might be considered insignificant, but their background to that person would be quite totally different.
In other words, the sharing depends on the individual.
Yeah, but
how did you handle the conversations when you had someone, and you don't have to breach confidentiality, I'd never ask you to do that, but how would you, let me give you a situation. You had someone in your forum who you're having a questionnaire, you're doing this questionnaire with, and you believe they are not sharing enough for the forum. They're not open, full stop. And the worst thing is that the other members of the forum are saying the same thing. How would you handle that question based on the questionnaire that you're doing? How would you handle that question to get that point across to an individual who believes they're sharing enough and believes that the forum thinks they are? Yeah,
so what the forum thinks, if they're not prepared to share it with the individual, I keep that at bay, because what you don't want to do is alienate that particular person. That's probably the worst thing you could do.
Very good point. Trust is a big thing. Yep.
But what I would say is, you're obviously, as I said, you're the hub, so you really have this information. So perhaps when you do this questionnaire, I just go, well, because it's some of these questions are leading, and it's purely to find out if the person actually is unaware or is aware of what they're doing. And because if they're aware that we're doing, then the next question is going, well, because if, for example, let's say that, I don't know, I'll make it up, someone said they could jump a metre, but they want an award for jumping 3 metres. And this is so ridiculous, but it's just the point. The significance of it might be, why did you not share with everyone that this is where you've gone with? Or, are you not sharing everything? You say, no. So we'll say, look, I remember an example where I know you did really great in this, but you never ever. Sometimes they just forget.
Yes.
It's innocent as that. And sometimes there's a bigger picture, and it's really kind of working with other people, because the more you talk together in confidence and with respect, the more people are going to feel comfortable and trust and allowed to go. The one thing I will say, though, a moderator's role is not to do the heavy lifting, or president or any board members. We are a representation of the forum, but we are also the leader. So whether you be the forum chair, membership chair, yes, we are representative of the people we're trying to collate, or the people in our forum, but you lead best practice. that's what you do. You find out the ground rules and you lead. Because to your point is, if you're not leading, why are you there? But it's not a dictatorship.
Yeah. I like that. It's a perfect way to end off, mate. So we did hit the 20-minute mark, but as you can probably tell, I can talk about forum all day. I think it's a perfect way to end off. In other words, primarily that you are there to lead an agreed path, not be the person who is forging the path necessarily, because you're agreeing it together, and then you're just making sure that everyone follows the path they said they would. Thank you, my friend. So as always, guys and girls, now this is going to be a common theme when I do meet people. I am going to continue doing Forum Bites videos, which as you know is Forum Bites, which is 3 to 5 minutes. These podcasts are going to be on YouTube, as well as Apple, as well as Google, as well as about 12 other platforms. So you can of course follow them there. But as always, if anyone's got any questions and you're on YouTube, you can leave them in the comments. If not, you can email me. And as always, I'll see you in the next video and or now podcast.